Framed Part 19b. 24th of June, cars today. Silver Ford Mondeo TDCI Estate, Richardson's. Weather, persistent, incessant, heavy rain. Note, criminal types. Even though we were closed now, I still kept writing the petrol log. Obviously there wasn't so much to write in it because we had no petrol, but some things just seemed so important you had to write them down. Like when this Mondeo, top speed 127 miles per hour came. It was the TDCI, the one with the push button shifters on the steering wheel. I went out to see what he wanted. I'd forgotten we weren't the Snowdonia Oasis Auto Marvel anymore. He waved at me, opened the boot and took out a for sale sign. He nailed it to the telegraph pole where we used to put up the special offers. So that was that, the end of the Snowdonia Oasis. Tom turned up for work even though Mum had told him not to, and even though there was no work to do. He said, well, maybe I could just feed the chickens or take Max for a walk, or... Tom, said Mum, one of the reasons they withdrew our insurance is that we had a criminal type working here, namely you. But I'm not a criminal type, Mrs. Hughes. Mr. Hughes said, Mr. Hughes, in case you hadn't noticed, he's not here, and he's not been here for some time. So it was all my fault? She looked at him for a minute, then she said, yes. I said, no it wasn't. She said, you be quiet. Tom had gone by then. What'd you say that for? Said Minnie. It made me feel better, said Mum. Sometimes someone would drive up, but when they saw the close sign, they'd back up and turn around again. Even the hens seemed to be sulking. They sat in a hutch all day, and Donatello stopped laying. Michelangelo never started. A couple of times, Tom went by on his bike. At first we thought he was just confused. Then we thought it was nostalgia. Finally we got the idea that he wanted to talk to us. After school he was waiting on the porch of the pavilion in the park, wearing his Turtles trash helmet. He said, I think I've got a master plan. Go on then. He looked round to make sure no one was listening. There was just a duck on the putting green. He whispered, Knicker painting. I knew you were going to say that, said Minnie. You've been planning that right from the start, haven't you? No, I haven't, said Tom. I'm reformed, or I was reformed. Just can't think of anything else that we can do now. So what's the plan, said Minnie. Just that, really. Knicker painting. Minnie said, the boxes are in a quarry underground, Tom. It's only got one entrance. The reason the government's put them there is that so they can't be nicked. And that's exactly what they can't be. Nicked. Oh, said Tom. I said, you've got to stop trying to solve problems by robberies. Look at what happened when you tried to rob our garage. Nice things happened when I tried to rob your garage. Your dad gave me a job. I said, I'm not sure the National Gallery will take the same approach. My dad is special. Yeah, he is, said Tom. All the same, it's got to be worth a go. I'm not sure you're right about that. The only time the paintings are vulnerable is when they're crossing our forecourt, said Minnie. We'd have to gain access to the van, maybe when it was getting petrol. And we haven't got any petrol. And anyway, the painting in the van is going to be on the gallery wall in London first thing the next morning, so everyone will be looking for it almost immediately. If you're going to get away with it, you'd have to replace the one in the van with a plausible copy. Tom and I stared at her. I said, you've really thought about this, haven't you? From time to time, said Minnie. Next morning, Tom came riding past the garage again. He saw me looking and tried to make some kind of signal with his hands and fell off his bike. I went out to help him. Meet you after school, he said. Same place. When I went back in, Mum said, what did he want? Nothing. He just fell off his bike. Tom was sitting in the pavilion in the park with what looked like a pile of Monopoly boxes on his knee, only they weren't Monopoly boxes. I was thinking about what you said, Minnie, about how if you stole a painting you'd have to swap it for a copy. And he tipped the boxes up so we could see the covers. Painting by numbers, he said. Oh, said Minnie. Painting by numbers, right. Your mum is short of money. The paintings up there are worth millions. We could nick one and swap it for one of these. He had 3 pictures to choose from. One was of a collie dog, one was of an alpine scene, one was a vase of flowers. I suddenly remembered that Nice Tom used to be called Daft Tom. Painting by numbers, said Minnie. All we have to do is find a painting up there that looks like one of these and swap it. Minnie pulled out the one of the vase of flowers and looked at it. Tom, I said, remember what Minnie said? Even if you did nick a painting, which you couldn't, how would you get rid of it? Who do you know with £25 million? Tom looked thoughtful, like he was going through his mental address book, looking for forgotten millionaires. I said, you know, Tom, maybe the insurance people were right. Maybe you are a criminal type. I'm not. I even paid for these. He pointed to the painting by numbers sets. Tom, said Minnie, this is not a good idea. Tom stared at her. But you're always telling me to go and steal a painting. I was only joking. This isn't going to work. Tom could argue with me. No one can argue with Minnie. He didn't say anything. He just seemed to shrink. I know it's not. I just wanted to do something. There must be something I can do. It's all my fault. Then Minnie said something which was meant to be kind, but maybe was a fateful mistake. She said, "We might as well make the picture anyway, just in case." Tom did his famous big smile and offered her the boxes. "Which one?" he said. She chose the vase of flowers. When we got back home, we looked at the revised and expanded. The vase of flowers was in there. It was based on a real painting in the National Gallery. It was called The Sunflowers by Vincent van Gogh. It was the most valuable painting in the whole gallery. "Jesus, Jellybean," said Minnie. "Bang on the money. If we had a plan, this would be going according to plan. Except we don't have a plan." "No, we don't, that's right." We decided to make the picture in the workshop. We told Tom it was because it was all top secret, and no one was supposed to know. Really, it was so that Mam wouldn't see him and lose the temper with him again. The paint comes in little numbered pots. The picture is split up into little numbered shapes. All you have to do is match the colour to the space. We decided to have a colour each so that we'd get it done quicker. I was yellow ochre, 9, Minnie was burnt umber, 4, and Tom was crimson lake, 13. At first it was just spots of bright paint on a big board. "It looks like different flavours of chicken poo," said Minnie, and we all laughed. Like the hens had pigged out on ice and then come in here and just let go, like they'd had a big poo party. Mostly we were quiet and concentrating. It felt like we were doing something about the garage, and even though we weren't really, that was still a good feeling. We thought that we didn't get much done the first day, but when we came back the next morning we realised that we were nearly halfway there. You could already tell what it was supposed to be. That got us moving faster, like you've nearly finished a jigsaw and you're racing for the last piece. It was unanimously decided that Tom should paint the last number. It was a dab of vermilion, 15 on one of the leaves. The effect was immense. It made the whole picture look like a painting that we painted. We were so proud. We stood there staring at it for about 5 minutes. Minnie went and got the revised and expanded so we could look at it next to a photo of the original. "That's amazing," said Tom. "No one could tell that wasn't the proper one." "Except," said Minnie, "ours is wet." "Oh yeah." And then she said, "But I wish she hadn't." And then again. But then she said, "Then again, it will dry." And it did dry. Each morning we'd look into the workshop. By Sunday it was dry. It looked even more like a painting. It looked a lot more like the painting. Mam sent Minnie and me down to Miss Porty's for a pint of milk. I noticed that they had a new window display in Curl Up and Die. It was mostly big bottles of shampoo with wigs on top. It looked like an invasion of tiny hairy aliens, but with nice hairdos, like tiny aliens going to a wedding or something. Minnie said, if we did have a plan, the next thing would be for you to ask Lester to send sunflowers to London and ask him if he could show it in our garage just like before, so that we'd have an opportunity. But we haven't got a plan. No, we haven't. We walked on. I said, I'll tell you what else we haven't got. What? A frame. Our sunflowers is on a piece of cardboard with painting by numbers written on the back. Do you think when they go out to the gallery and say, "Oh, no frame, that makes a nice change, we can blue tack it to this wall"? Minnie said, all right. That night I woke up to find someone sitting at the end of my bed. I said, "Dad!" "No," said Minnie. "It's me, Minnie." "What? You were worrying about us not having a frame for the sunflowers?" "No, I wasn't." "Well, yes, you said that. We'd be rumbled if they saw it with no frame on." "Yes, but I wasn't worried about it. Because we're not going to nick a painting and therefore we don't have to swap one." The Mrs. Sell was Dad's picture. The one of Elsa when she was a little girl. What about it? Got a proper frame on it. Which it did. A big, heavy gold frame with leaves carved into it. The kind of frame you'd see in an art gallery. While everyone else was still asleep, we got the painting by numbers from the workshop, unclipped the back of Mr. Selwood's picture and dropped our picture in. It looked amazing. "It looks like a masterpiece," I said. "No one would know that it wasn't a masterpiece." "It would be a crime not to send it to the National Gallery," said Minnie.